Hi there, I'm going through some of my outstanding jobs. I've come across this one. This is, I think it's a class 42, called the Hermes Warship class, running number D823. It's blue. It's in the Hermes Minitrix box, and the model on the side is N206, but the polystyrene insert is a bit longer, so obviously this has been replaced. Whoops, the wrong way. You can see there's a huge big gap here, so I don't know if this is the right one. I'll have to check up my catalogue. Anyway, this is definitely class 42 Warship, so I believe I've worked on it before, but I can't remember. I don't have my notes. And there's the body screw which goes in there. So really at this point I'm in the dark. I don't know what I did to it and what's required. So let's just lift the lid off. Inside it doesn't look too bad until I look at it, and then I remember that it actually needs the motor. Now I think I have purchased somewhere along the line a Warship with a motor, so I'm going to try and dig it out and see if I can get it fitted in and get this up and running. I looked back over some of the things I've purchased from eBay, and sure enough this is something that came in the job lot, and it's a Warship body, and inside I have the motor. So at least I can now hopefully put this bit onto my other Warship and get one of them up and running. So let's see if I can remove the motor out of here. As far as I can see, this top plate here connects to the lights at each end, and these screws here hold on a metal bar, which I think is purely intended to allow the body shell to be screwed on at the top. So let's remove these two from the donor machine, because I don't know what's actually underneath this yet. Metal plate comes off, leaving this Bakelite plate, and I'm going to just disconnect these two wires. I presume this is a suppressor capacitor, so I'll just disconnect that wire there. And don't worry, I have taken a note. This one appears to have been cut at some time. So will that allow this to move off? Yes, it does, and there is a motor assembly inside. So let's do the same with the recipient chassis. One wire off the capacitor, and just get in there to get a nice grip on it. In here. Undo the screws, and I should be able to expose the empty hole, or maybe I should say the motor recess. Sounds a bit more technical than the empty hole. And that comes off, sure enough, exposing the lamp. Whoops. And there are the balls there, held with screws. I think I'll just gently prise them out in case of mishaps. And similarly over here, copper retaining springs and the bolts. I don't know if they work or otherwise. So At least the gearings are both present. The motor supports are present. There's a lower PCB, and presumably these are contacts that go into the motor, and it looks as if it's going this way, but I'd have to take that out. Now I think what I'm going to do is see if the whole motor will come out in one go. I also notice that the screws are on the inside here and the outside there, so perhaps I need to do that, and hopefully that should ensure a straight transfer from the donor to the required machine. I'm going to remove the bracket from the recipient machine. And I shall leave that to one side. And the retaining screw there, and similarly on the other side. And they don't look much different. There is one noticeable difference, and that is that there is a pin on the upper side of this bracket which is absent from this bracket, but I just realized that in this machine, when I turned these round, the pin is on this side, so perhaps someone's taken these off, removed the motor and put them back in the wrong way round. Yeah, that would make sense. So my next move will depend on the orientation of these two contact springs within the donor machine. So let's see what happens if I remove these two brackets, bearing in mind this pip is in fact an orientation pip which lines up with this bracket here, with the Bakelite bracket. So the plate with the pip is on the left. And the plate, which is pipless, is on the right. And just while I'm talking about that, which one's which, because if I have to move these, I need to know which way around it goes. So I'm going to just put an R, this is for my reference here, and doing the same on the recipient chassis, put an R there. So this is lined up according to these screws here. So the pip is on the left, the non-pip on the right. I remove the motor, now I know that this comes out because I worked on something similar once before, and these holes in the fixing brackets are for the axle to slip through, so there's also a push where it sits into the locating hole. So I know that this has to come out in one assembly, and sure enough, there it is. There's the donor machine, motor removed. And the other thing I notice is that there is no lower PCB here. Oops. So I wonder if it's on this machine. It's not there. I wonder if these are in fact the same chassis, although they look pretty similar. Everything else looks the same. So the pickups, right, I think these must be pickups from the motor bogies, whereas in this machine just trying to get my head around this. It's a totally different battery box. So well, obviously there's been a modification done at some time. This battery box cover comes out, and you see that there's a PCB here, but not here. Okay, let me just stop here, have a little think about it and see if there's anything that I need to be aware of. First of all, to hopefully save a few headaches, let me check and see if this motor is a worker. And yes, there we go. So at least I know the motor is a worker. Second thing to note is that if I try and put this motor into this location, these contact springs I don't think are going to make contact with the motor contacts, because if I line these up carefully, you can see that the end of the contact here won't touch that bit there, which means that these are slightly different designs of Minitrix Warship chassis, which I kind of suspected halfway through. Right, so that's going to be a bit of a bind. What do I do about it? I think I shall have a little cup of coffee and a wee think about it, because in the donor chassis I'm suspecting that the panel was removed because the pickups and the bogies for this particular chassis, trying to get in short again, have been modified to have a wire solder onto the end of them. I can't show you, it's a bit too fine detail, but they have been modified greatly. So something is going wrong here. I need to try and find out what kind of contacts were here to allow touching the PCB. I'll be back as soon as I can find anything definite. After a little bit of thought, I've come to the conclusion that actually what's wrong is that this motor is the wrong way around, and that I was going by the pip on one of the motor brackets, but as the pip came out of the recipient machine, which already had it removed, then I think it makes sense to realise go with the donor machine as a guide. So I think the motor should actually fit in this side. So if I sit it there, you can in fact see that it is springing onto the contacts. So I think this could be the right way around. So taking the bracket, this time having the pip on the bracket, the hole will slide over the shaft of the drive gear, and the collar will fit into the recess. So taking the two screws, one here put the diametrically opposite one, this one here. Should at least let me check the free movement of the motor in situ. And you can see that it seems to be free enough. So, screws in here. And in here. Seems free enough. So there's a little bit of lubrication which you can apply later and clean the commutator. Let's put it onto the rolling rod and see how it goes. Just to make it clear, this is the recipient machine with the donor engine in, with the brackets which came with the donor machine. And the PCB underneath with the contacts I fitted in, but what's happening is that it's not making good contact. They seem to be just held in with, to my mind, this battery cover. Now, I don't think that is right. So I've investigated further and I came across another difference which I think could be significant. This is a bracket that came out of the donor machine, and what I'll point your attention to are these the two bits here, which as you can see are flat. See the circle, the gap in between, the two flat bits on either side. On the recipient machine, if you look at the same brackets, you'll find the recipient machine has got two studs, one here and one here, which I think puts into a different type of PCB. And I believe from my experiments that these studs are preventing the motor sitting true on the PCB. So I'm going to change these brackets and put on the brackets from the donor machine. In truth, what I realise is that these brackets actually came with the donor motor, and I know that because on this bracket here it's actually attached with the two screws. So this bracket is the one that goes with the other PCB, and this bracket which came out of the recipient machine goes with this flat PCB. Well, let's see what happens now. Maybe we could turn it around a little bit. These are the contacts. PCB is sitting in there. I apply power, and yep, it's starting to work. And that's just with the PCB sitting in there, making contact with the motor. So I'm going to rebuild the rest of this and see if it will work with a little bit of persuasion. So I can put the bogies back in and see how it goes. Back shortly. Well, here are the bogies in place, and I'm going to just apply a little bit of power to the pickup wheels. In fact, each bogie has two sets of pickup wheels, one for positive, one for negative. So I should be able to get this to work. And you can see it's trying to work there. And here. Yeah. And here. Oh yes, so definitely power getting through on all four axles. I think we could have a runner here. So, I'm going to pull in my rolling road test bed. And with the boots, it wants to go already. Yeah, very keen. And that one there, and this one in here. Just make sure we're getting decent contact. Yeah, there we go. Now that's pretty good. That's pretty good. Just contact, maybe the wheels need a bit of cleaning, and obviously will need a little bit of running in, and there you can see it start to pick up on its own. Oh yes, oh yes. So that's coming on nicely. Let's see if we can get a different angle on it. Quite nicely here. Starting to focus okay, but there we go. And that's my Warship. Now I've had this Warship for many a long year, and just wait for a motor, and now one's come along, so excellent. I think it's time to put this one on the track. The bulbs at each end are held in this little recess here. They're held in by a sprung U-clip which holds it in place. The bulb is seated into the recess first. Then the U-clip hooked around one end of the bracket there, over the top of the bulb, into the opposite end, pushed into place, and then the bulb is pushed underneath the clip, and that's it held there. And the lighting bracket has another copper strip which will press against the contact of the bulb. So, same on the other side. Sit the bulb in the U-bracket, sprung U-bracket, fed into there. Let's try and keep the bulb underneath. It's pushed into place, and then the bulb gets pushed through to sit in there. The bracket, I can't remember which way around it was, that's the right side there, has the capacitor at one end and the pip on the other end, so that this, no it's not, take two. The Bakelite strip is fitted so that the bulb contacts go behind the bulb, the pip fits over the right hand bracket, and the other clip at the back pushes the other bulb. The metal retaining bracket is fitted so it also fits over the little pip, and these two flat-headed screws hold the assembly in place. And now these two wires from the bulbs are resoldered back in place. Turning there, bit of turning there to one end, and this end too. And I should see the bulbs lighting depending on which direction the locomotive is meant to be travelling. So let me just come out again, turning the power up in one direction, and I have this bulb here lit up. This bulb is not. Turning the direction the other way. And this bulb isn't working. Maybe it's not meant to be enough contact. Oh, there we go. Yes, it's just a poor contact. Right, I can fix that. Well, when I apply the power, I'm hoping to get it to work, and one of the bulbs working, and I don't know if you can see, but that one there is now lit up. That's good, and this one isn't. So if I reverse the power, and it works, and there is the opposite light working. So, that's my little Warship. Oh, I'm really fair pleased with that one. I've had it a long time, waited for a motor very patiently, and then I got one. And here's a good lesson I've found, and it's happened a number of times, that very often when you're working on machines like this, especially the older models, and then you get a donor machine that you think, oh, just a simple matter of changing the bits, and then you find that design has changed over the years. And so you have to kind of bear that in mind and try and take the modifications on board when you're working with a different style. It's happened a couple of times. Fortunately, I think that I had all the relevant brackets and wheels and gears in the donor machine to help me make the transfer from one to the other. So I think the only thing left is to fit the body and make sure that it's looking nice when on the track. So with the little chassis screw in my little box, this hopefully will give me a nice working class 42 Warship class Hermes D8 N203. So let's go back onto the track and see it working, and then I'll hook up some freight or some wagons or coaches or something and see it doing some work. Well, Hermes sitting there patiently. Let's see if you bring in a little bit of a consist, and as I back her up you'll find that she's hooking onto a little rake of 3 teak coaches which I picked up from Aberdeen about a year ago. So let's see how these go. They look nice. Got them a good price. 3 of them for under £30. So a nice one, and that looks good. I've shown them before, it's a different logo, but I think they look nice behind the Hermes. So, as I let it run round, I'm just going to summarise on this particular servicing task. When I opened up, I'd forgotten I'd actually put it aside for the simple reason that I had no motor. I had this a long time ago, I think one of the earliest locomotives I picked up as spares or repair, but finding a motor was very difficult and challenging. And then over the last couple of months I've had a few chassis on offer on eBay, and I've managed to pick up a couple of them, and I've used one of them, as you saw, as a donor machine. So with a little bit of ingenuity I realised that the two were slightly incompatible, but by switching brackets I've managed to get them into one working machine. So this is a good one. Quite happy the way it's turned out. I hope you enjoyed it. If you do, I'd like to hear your comments on what I've done. If you like more N-gauge servicing, I promise you a lot more. So please subscribe and keep up, and hopefully you'll give me a thumbs up and a like at the end of the show. So with that in mind, folks, thank you from SORT 6233, the Society for the Restoration of Trains, and I think I've done just that. So keep watching YouTube, hope you like it, and bye for now.